Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Weekend Recap. If you have not caught up on what's been going on recently, or if you even haven't heard the news, just check out the description box below for the full announcement, and I will be back after the intro. So for those of you who have not heard or seen on my social media platforms, on March 22nd, my grandfather, who I called my PopPop/Poppy, passed away. And I would just like to start off by thanking you all so much for the love, the support, the comments, and just everything in between. It has been so overwhelming and so special these past several days in this past week and a half, just gearing up to celebrate PopPop's life. When it actually happened, it was a Wednesday morning. I actually had a field trip that day, and my mom was going to be a chaperone for the field trip. I woke up to a text at 6:50 a.m. and my mom had said that she was at my PopPop's house along with my dad and that she was going to come home. In that moment, anxiety just hit me through the roof. Like, I was scared, I was nervous, my stomach was in knots, my head was spinning, I was dizzy. I just was like, something is off, because my mom rarely went over with my dad to PopPop's house for the emergency phone calls. And so I was like, this is something different right here. Mom comes home and I asked her if we were gonna still go on the field trip, and she was like, no. I was just straightening my hair thinking, I'm getting ready for the day, and she pauses in her, words, and I'm like, okay, is she gonna say anything else? And I turn around and I look at her, and she has tears in her eyes, and she's like, PopPop's gone. And that was basically it. And that day was honestly probably the most speechless day of my life, besides the day Grandma passed away. Of course, I missed school on the day that PopPop passed away, and then I returned to school the following day, and I handled the rest of that week fairly well, honestly better than I expected. I think a huge factor in that is being prepared for this season of life. We knew it was going to come to this. So it didn't immediately hit hard, like initially in the moment. I've had some emotional moments here and there, but I am very grateful for the amazing support of my besties and siblings. That Saturday, 3 days after PopPop was gone, my siblings and I, we went out and we just had some fun together, and just kind of for me to relax and just take my mind off of being involved in the planning and things for the celebration and things like that, and just to take my mind off of everything. It was just great. And even though we had seen each other at school on Thursday and Friday, they made sure that we had some time outside of school to spend with each other, and so that was absolutely perfect. So in different ways, like, God has just been reminding me of how good He is, even in this season of my life. And there's people who have these stereotypes that you should or shouldn't do this, in this particular season of your life. There's people who are gonna think that I should not be vlogging, but I want to. And to me, it is more of a comfort rather than a burden. So I'm still taking you guys through this week. I've already made up in my mind that I would. And instead of making this in typical tradition, the first week of April weekend recap, we are making this the PopPop edition of Weekend Recap. So with that being said, here we go. Today is March 29th, and 1 week ago today, my PopPop passed away, and it has been literally the longest week of my life. Like, these past 7 days have just felt so long and drawn out and have been so exhausting. There's moments where I have like random outbursts of laughter and joy and energy. But other than that, it's just kind of been this steady shoulder shrug type of feeling. And I've had my fair share of emotional days. And this past week has honestly just been a blur, and I've been mentally all over the place. But I have been going to school though, because number one, I just don't want to be at home all day, all the time, just crying my eyes out. Number two, my friends are there, and that's where I get my daily entertainment from. And their presence just brings this security in my life. And so when I'm with them, it's just a feeling of peace. And so, I go for the friends too. And then number three, testing season is coming up anyway, and I just don't need to be behind. So yeah. So we have 3 more days until PopPop's funeral. So I got my pedicure today so that I can wear my heels, and then I'm getting my hair done tomorrow because it's been a hot minute. But I've been trying to do the best I can to tame this head of mine with a blow dryer and my flat iron. So been doing a pretty good job. It's been up pretty much all week because it's been humid. For this weekend, I already have my dress and accessories to what I am wearing to PopPop's funeral. A few years ago, when I thought that PopPop was going to pass away the first time, I had already looked for something to have on hand so that I wouldn't have to worry about it. And this just goes to show you how many scares, the multiple scares that we had with PopPop. Because every time that I thought it was the moment, wasn't the moment. So the dress just stayed sitting on the bottom rack of my closet. So now that this is real life and that this is actually happening, like, this is insane. But at least I have something. Everything's coming together. This weekend is going to be busy, okay? Like, we have the funeral on Saturday, and then after that is an after party with friends and family, then church on Sunday, then another after party with more friends and family, and then we will put PopPop back with Grandma in their joint grave on next Tuesday. So my recovery day, or recovery days to kind of get my life together in between events, is going to be Friday and Monday. I am exhausted and I have homework to do. Jesus help me. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Hey y'all, happy Thursday. So I tuned into Bible study with House of Hope Atlanta last night, and Pastor Smith finished his series about relationships. And let me just say that if Pastor Smith was to do like a year-long series about relationships, child, I'd be so fine with it. Like, the gems that he has been dropping during this entire sermon series of Bible study for the past several weeks of this year 2023 so far, it has been amazing. One of my favorite things that he said was that any relationship that can't be tested can't be trusted. Bingo, honey. So tomorrow I am excited specifically for this particular reason. JJ Harrison is releasing volume 2 of Believe Again. He released volume 1 back in September, when it was my birthday weekend, and that was a nice little treat, getting volume 1 for my birthday. And now he's coming in hot with volume 2 in the new year, so I'm ready. And in addition, some of my favorite singers are on this project as well, and so I'm just excited about it. I've kind of been filling you guys in on what's going on, but we're actually gonna stop and take a break and talk tomorrow. Happy Friday. Child, listen. JJ Harrison ought to be ashamed of himself because this new album is insanity. Like, I've been listening to the tracks all day. Listen, it's a masterpiece. Like, all of the featured artists on this album are like so perfect. It's crazy. Currently right now, my favorite songs in no particular order are, well, I have to start with this one first because I listened to it first because my favorite singer is featured on this song, and that song is Close to You. Jesus. When I say it is so pure, the way Mayon sings on this one it just hits different. Close to You was on the Resting on His Promise album back in 2009. So I grew up on this song, but to get to have like the updated version being older now, it's just, It just hit different. And then some of my other favorites are It Will Always Be You, It's Gonna Be Bigger, It's Changing, and just so many other favorites, but that's what I remember right now. Go check it out. Believe Again, Volume 2 by JJ Harrison. Let's get it. Hey y'all, so I promised y'all that I was going to talk about me because that's been literally the question of the week, is basically how am I doing, because I know y'all want to know. And I meant to do that earlier today, but time was literally slipping away from me after we talked about new music earlier. So now that I have some time and I'm just in bed chilling, I'm just gonna go ahead and get into the question. How am I doing? I honestly am doing okay right now, like genuinely, I mean that. And I know it's going to change once we walk in the service and, you know, real life begins and all that stuff. That's when I know it's actually going to hit hard. But this week leading up to this weekend, there's been moments of speechlessness and, you know, some small depressed moments. But this feeling of hovering sadness and grief is not a constant thing for me. God is still good. He is still good, and he's always going to get the glory. And I would just like to include the fact that this was very much expected. My pop had a lot of medical conditions, and so, you know, there was just a lot going on behind the scenes. So for a while now, I've been prepared for this, and we've had so many emergencies and scares with Pop to the point where we thought it was the real thing, but it wasn't. And I would like have anxiety every day thinking like, is today the day? Because Pop was literally getting worse right before our eyes, and it was just bad. So now that it has actually, you know, happened, it's like, okay, now we navigate life after that whole moment and day occurs. And the thing about it is that Pop wouldn't have gotten any better if he was still here fighting for his life. And once I realized that there was absolutely nothing that could be done on this earth to save him, I had to accept the fact that Pop was going to die. And God gave me Pop, and I mentally had to give Pop back to God. So we were very prepared. My parents and I, we had very transparent conversations about Pop's health and just the decline and everything. And nothing was kept a secret between us. And I'm glad that all of this is not, you know, a shock to me. But the consistent hope in this season is just knowing that, first of all, God is with us. And number two, Pop, you know, can walk again and he doesn't have any more health problems or challenges. And number three, this one is just beautiful to me. Pop is with Grandma. So even in the hard moments, I'm glad that in this season of my life, you know, this loss is not breaking me like I thought it would initially. And God has just been so good. And I would just like to thank you all once again so much for asking me how I'm genuinely doing. And I just love you all so much. And tomorrow we will celebrate Pop's life. Hey y'all, so we are getting ready to leave the house. I did my makeup today. Looks super good. I'm going to curl my hair when we get to the church because it is pretty humid outside and I didn't want to curl my hair before leaving the house and then lose my curls by the time we get to the church. So that's the plan. looks good. It's a whole lot of anxiety right now.
I was listening to my grandbaby the other day, and she was filling my house with song. And she just sang and she sang, and I was trying to work on the computer, and I had to stop. And I said, is she singing? That's why she's singing. She's just singing. But what really blessed me was, my wife got up the next morning because my grandbaby spent the night with us, and she said, you had already gone and laid down, and the baby had been put to bed, and a few minutes she got up and said, Grandma, I got to get up and go praise the Lord. I'm thinking to myself, what kind of child is this? That got to praise the Lord before she go to bed. Oh, y'all didn't hear that? I asked the Lord, what kind of child is this?
Happy First Sunday, everyone. So in typical First Sunday tradition, we take communion, of course. That's the First Sunday ritual. So that's always a highlight of my first Sunday. I did not watch House of Hope Atlanta today because my tail was in recovery mode from yesterday, but I know Women's Day was good and it was great, so I'm definitely going to go back and watch it. So we're not even done yet because today is a very special day. Yesterday, of course, we celebrated the life of my Pop, and we will get into that in a hot second. But today I am celebrating someone very special, and that is my favorite singer. That's right. At this point, y'all should know who she is. I mean, she was all up in this channel during Women's History Month for Weekend Recap. And I was highlighting her all month long, and that person is the one and only Mignon Bolton-Sarton. When I say I love her, I am not playing. I've outgrown some gospel singers and artists over the years, but never ever have I outgrown Mignon. Like, some of the artists I listened to back then are just not giving what they're supposed to give anymore, but Mignon has been giving since I listened to her the first time almost 10 to 12 years ago, and has not stopped giving what she's supposed to give. Every high and low of my life, I turn her on. The day Pop passed away, like the entire week leading up to the funeral yesterday, she was the first voice that I listened to and turned on. Her voice has always just been there. It's so uplifting, and there's this humility, grace, and purity about her beyond her voice that just won my heart. And she's a different kind of special, and I'm so glad that she exists. Like, don't even get me started, because she different.
Hey, had to do some stuff real quick, but I'm back. So now, all about my Pop. The video you guys just saw was Pop on Easter Sunday of 2013, and that video will hold a lot of memories, and it shows you the kind of legacy that I was born to. Yesterday, of course, as you guys saw, was the funeral for Pop, and I didn't record any of the service because I don't want any pictures or videos of Pop's casket to be in my camera roll, because that will traumatize me. But when I say that yesterday was literally the most sentimental, joyful, emotional, and most unreal day of my life, it was all of the above. I will say that my parents and I planned the most amazing celebration of life service for Pop. Like, it was so beautiful. It was just everything and beyond. I was proud of us, first of all, for just planning an amazing celebration, period. I will say the most emotional parts for me was, first of all, just walking in the service. That was my actual first time seeing Pop's casket, because I did not go to the actual viewing because of personal preference. I didn't see my grandmother, in her casket, and I didn't want to see Pop either. Because what is closure to others is more heartbreak to me. And so just for me, I didn't want to necessarily see Pop Pop, but that was my first time seeing, the casket and everything. So it was very, very emotional. And then watching my dad do the eulogy for my Pop Pop and watching my dad get emotional was another emotional moment for me. And then walking out the service behind Pop Pop, and then watching my godbrothers put Pop Pop in the hearse, and then watching the hearse drive off. It was most definitely very heart-wrenching moments. But everything as a whole was just elegant. It was literally a movie. I wouldn't have wanted it to go any other way. And I'm just in awe. You have to be in this family to understand. So we actually did not bury Pop Pop yesterday. We will do that on Tuesday. And then after that, Pop Pop and Grandma will finally take their earthly rest together. So overall, it's been, a great weekend in the sense that the celebration of life was, extravagant. But it was still pretty emotional and sentimental, and I get to do life with some amazing people, and this weekend really showed me that I get to be family to some really sweet and amazing people. So it's been a busy but beautiful weekend. And before I forget, happy Palm Sunday. Happy Tuesday. Today we are burying Pop Pop and putting him with Grandma again. I'm probably about to go cry my eyes out. I just did one of the hardest things that I'll ever do, and that was bury my Pop Pop. It was very emotional and just surreal, just wow, both of my grandparents are gone, and this is the end of the chapter of having paternal grandparents. And so it's hard, it's complicated, but I know that my grandparents are in heaven and they're together and that they're okay. And so just trying to get through this day. Of course, it's going to take time to get used to this change. I come home from school and I have this instant desire to want to call Pop Pop and just tell him about my day. And it's just well, all of that's gone now. So there's definitely a missing piece that I feel in my heart. It's a couple hours later. This week has most definitely been a roller coaster, but before we wrap up, I could not end without saying thank you. Thank you to everyone who has been supporting me, my family, and just everything in between. I am completely in awe of the love and support. I'm just grateful to all of you. This week, like I said, has been a ride, but God has been good even during this time. And I'm just grateful. It's been emotional and beautiful all at the same time and all at once. And so I'll have more to say later. Definitely still speechless, but that's it for this weekend recap. I cannot wait for the next edition of Weekend Recap, which is Easter edition, and it's about to be fire. I'll see y'all next week.